Hey, you're wide receiver Khalil Shakir, right?
I sure am, kid. Here, go long.
Whoa! You're pretty good at football, man.
And you guys are pretty good at pizza.
Oh, sick. Dude.
Folks, welcome back to the best pregame show in the land. It is the Picasso's pregame show. Picasso's Pizza available anywhere near you in Western New York at multiple locations. Go to picassospizza.net for the best pizza, and anywhere nationwide, get that gold in your belly via Gold Belly. Check out our friends there. Get Picasso shipped to you anywhere nationwide. But Micah, I hate to use a Big Sean reference when we go into Detroit, but it's time for the Bills to bounce back this week.
Yeah, last week took an L, and today we bounced back. That's what we're looking for. Big game, big weekend here in the Lake Erie Bros section of the NFL here. Bills in Detroit in a potential game of the year. The Cleveland Browns hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a huge Sunday. I can't wait for this game. I've been so excited all week. And, last week stung. The loss stung. I'm sure for you as well, being there in person, it stung a little bit differently there. But it just made this week an even bigger deal, an even bigger game. A lot of stakes on hand for the Bills for the rest of the season in this one. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I think you said it well. It was kind of caught you off guard how it went last week. I think if you were going to lose by 2, you would have thought maybe it was like 27-25 or something like that. To see the defense just getting shellacked and run over every which way, obviously disconcerting. Everyone shout out, everybody tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram as we get rolling here on the Picasso's pregame show. So let's start with where we've kind of checked in all season long, Micah, and that is actually in as secure a spot as it's ever been, the Josh Allen MVP watch. Not wrapped up yet, obviously, but it's amazing that even a 6 touchdown performance and a loss can kind of show the voters which way this should be going, obviously, right?
Yeah, he's at like minus 400 at a lot of places now, minus 450. It'd have to be a catastrophe for him to lose it at this point. And it's well deserved. That game, the only reason they're in that game last week is because Allen is dominating in a way that he really only he can. And I think that's fair to say. Maybe Lamar is the other guy who can do it, but I don't think the way Allen dominated that game last week is singular. So yeah, even in a loss, it's still, as you were talking about a couple weeks ago, one of those MVP Heisman moments. Definitely had that last Sunday. So I'm not surprised here. And he's got a great opportunity this week to do it again. These are the 2 highest scoring teams in the NFL. So I think the pace is going to be high today. A lot of opportunities to get some more touchdowns, some more stats for Allen to help his case.
Now, I don't want to jinx him, but Jared Goff here in this spot, he's about plus 1,000, plus 1,300. It is a weird situation, and I'm going to knock on wood before I say this, where if somehow we get into a duel similar to last week where it's a high-scoring affair and he outduels Josh Allen, again, I'm not saying this, that is a position where Jared Goff could make a jump into the 2. But like you said, it's Josh Allen's race to lose. He's playing very efficient football right now, and it doesn't seem like anybody can get in his way of doing that. So hopefully we'll keep it rolling in Detroit. But to keep it rolling in Detroit, we got to get back on our winning way, back to our winning ways that we had for 7 to 8 weeks previous there. Yeah. To do that, we got a friend of the program coming in right now, Poncho's Army General or 5-star General. I don't know what we would call it. Anthony, how are we doing, sir? How are we feeling, mister?
Living the dream, surviving the nightmare.
There it is. So we're coming off the game against the Rams. How are you feeling about that? Are you still a little gun shy about the defense after seeing them get crushed, or do you think that was a one-off? Do you think that was more of an aberration? I
just think they did their homework, man. They paid attention to what we succeeded in and what we have success in, and it's just I think Josh did exactly what he does. Guy's a friggin' unicorn. I honestly think we're going to bounce back and handle our business. You know how the game is.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that said, obviously you got an over-under 54. You got the Bills plus 2. Do you think maybe you see it under that 54.5, or do you think it's going to be a fireworks show?
It's going to be under 54.
Okay.
28-17, Bills.
Okay, 28-17 Bills. All right, so with that said, who shows out on defense? Because to hold the Lions to 17 points, you're going to need some boys showing out, obviously.
I think our D's going to hold up tight. I think Edwards step coming in off the practice squad. I think he'll see some playing time. I definitely think Smoot might see some playing time as well. I just definitely think our defense is very underrated. I mean, these guys play with a culture like none other. It's definitely a brotherhood. Like I say, it's not Bills Mafia, it's Bills Ma Familia.
It is Bills Ma Familia to you. So obviously they're doing all their parts. They're stepping in. Khalil Shakir, kind of, I wouldn't even say a breakout game because I think we all know he's kind of a little bit of a star here in Buffalo, but kind of showed off a different aspect to his game last week. It was runs after the catch for 40 yards for a touchdown and then catching
Secured by Shakir, baby. Secured by Shakir, we say.
I heard he might be coming out with a new product for Christmas, the security blanket, where, you know, it's like a onesie, but it's just a big face of Khalil Shakir. I mean, you got to feel safe in that Shakir coverage.
Absolutely.
With that said, okay, so we got you rolling on it. Anything that you're worried about? What's the vibe? Is it all positivity? Because I know it's typically that with you, but it's got to be a little tough coming off an L.
Yeah, listen, when I was in Houston and we took an L, it's like somebody once told me the Bills don't pay the bills. So you got to get up, you got to, strap them boots on and get your ass to work. You know what I mean? You got to have the mind of a goldfish, like Ted, like my boy Ted says. So
the mind of a goldfish. All right, so you got 28-17 prediction. You got any touchdown scores for us here on the Picasso's pregame show?
Shakir, definitely Shakir. I think Coleman's going to have one. I have a feeling, and Josh Allen is definitely going to get at least 2.
Okay, we love that. Anthony, let the people know where they can find you. What's the Twitter ad again?
Be cool, fool.
Be cool, fool. If you don't do that, you'll be learning a lesson very quickly. Anything before we get you signing off here? Thanks for stopping by, buddy.
We got a raffle going on to help Jason Maldonado, Diabillo. He suffered a nightmare that nobody should have to endure. But the Bills Mafia House has donated the house a 3-day weekend during the Patriots game. Pancho's Army has donated 200 level tickets, with the help of Axes and Al's. Jimmy Rue donated, we got two Keon Coleman jerseys autographed to give away. It's a $50 ticket that enters you to win this amazing package. It's on my it's on our Twitter page. We're just trying to help the man out. And it's a tragedy that a father, a husband, and a friend should never have to endure,
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. Thank you for all, obviously, the good work you're doing over there at Pancho's Army. Thank you.
I'm nothing without people like you, Zach. I tell you this, I'm nothing without people like you. We do this together, bro. You know how this works.
This train never stops, buddy. Any final thoughts?
Go Bills.
Go Bills. Have a good game now. And let's change gears real quick. We obviously got Game Day Buffalo in Detroit, holding it down. So let's bring in the czar of all things Game Day Buffalo, John McCulloch. John, how's it in the Motor City?
It's going good. The tailgate's just opening up right now. We've got our nice little train wreck sign on display. And I have a secret special guest coming in here in just a second to maybe give a little tips on the game, maybe a little surprise Buffalo Bills player here in just 1 second. But no, we're getting the crowd going. We're getting everything ready to rip. Getting ready to go. The stadium's like right down there. And
that's the thing. I mean, this location, I sing Game Day's praises. Everyone knows they're a partner of Trainwreck Sports, but they always get you the best setup and they always get you the best game day experience. That's why we partner with our friends at Game Day. Thanks for holding it down there, John. What do we got food-wise? I know we got a pretty good spread.
Why don't I just go walk over? We'll go show.
There
we got our friend Side Biscuit from Ann Arbor, Michigan. He's from Buffalo. He's making up some food. You're live on Trainwreck. And then we got Double Dubs over here somewhere in the steam. You got some fresh food being made here from Double Dubs, Trenton Town. We got a whole crew there. We make stuff happen. And we got another special guest here, surprise. I don't know if you want to ask our friend Eric Wood what they think's going to go on the game.
Oh, man, there he is. Eric Wood, legend. Nice to meet you, sir. Thanks for coming on the pregame.
We got Zach from Trainwreck and Jake.
Yeah. How we doing, Eric?
Eric, is John getting the wings extra room temperature just like you like them?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to have him put some in a box for me. I'll eat them in about an hour.
All right, with that said, you can't have a slow start against this Detroit team, Eric. So what's the key for that first 20-minute, that first third of the game for the Bills today?
I think you have to attack the second level of their defense. If they're going to stay in base personnel, you got to be willing to throw it around. And, yeah, you want to establish the run, and I think you can run the ball against this Detroit defense as well. But I think you got to attack the slot. If they're going to play man, you have your man beaters. and run some rub routes early on and punish them for doing what they do over and over. They play the highest percentage of man-to-man defense in the league and the highest percentage of base personnel, even against 11 personnel. So to me, attack that second level of defense.
I like that. And speaking of defense, you have to think McDermott lost a little sleep this week after that performance in LA. I think we can all expect a bounce back spot here, even with a strong Detroit offense.
Yeah, and I think when you're playing against the number one scoring offense in the league, a bounce back might be holding them to 21 or 24 points. And I might lock that in right now if you gave it to me, saying, hey, can we outscore 24? I'd like to think so here today. So, yeah, I think you're going to see an inspired defensive effort, especially from the front four.
You led perfectly into my question. Who do you think has an impact on that front four? Because I feel like that's the biggest key to get pressure on Goff and kind of get him off schedule, right? Like everything's timing based with him.
Yeah, well, they got two really good tackles. Picasso might be the best tackle right now. Probably him and Deion Dawkins play at the highest level in the league. So, and then Taylor Decker, he's a solid starter on the left-hand side. I think the guards are where you can take advantage of them. So, give me Ed Oliver, who had a really nice game here in Detroit a couple years ago on Thanksgiving. So give me Ed Oliver to make an impact on this game.
All right.
I like it. People have been angry about the absence of Ed Oliver, but I think he can make an impact on the stretch. Thank you for making an impact every day. Ooh, what do we got?
Josh Allen over 1.5 rushing touchdowns. That's my move. I think he's going to run a couple there.
What's going on?
Listen, I'm actually nervous for you, Eric, today, because I know that Brownie can get pretty excited in that booth. And I have a feeling we are going to have over 475 yards of offense today. That is my prediction. So he's going to have a lot of exciting calls in that booth. Have a great day, and thanks for holding it down in Detroit, boys.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Go
See you
Bills.
guys.
Thanks, fellas.
Go Bills.
Love to see that. City taking care of business. I'm fired up a little bit. It's a little bit different when you're, away from the game, Mike. But then when you get right outside the stadium, you get the vibe. You can see the smoke coming out of their breath.
Yeah, man.
The environment becomes real. And I know they're playing in a dome, so it's not the same.
But you got to think, man, with it being Detroit, we saw the ticket prices for this game this week. It was a big story, like $400, $500 just to get in the building. A lot of Bills fans are going to be there. Quick drive over, 4 hours, 5 hours. About that atmosphere in there between Lions and Bills fan, it's going to be one of the best of the year in the NFL. Like, it's going to be awesome to see on TV.
And if you're in Detroit, it's not too late. Head on over to the Game Day Buffalo Tailgate. I believe it's starting in just about half an hour. It looked like they were just getting, rocking and rolling there. So it's not too late if you're in the Motor City. But it's not too late to have a perfect Bills Sunday, Micah. So you put this together for us. We got 3 games today. It's not like last year where we had 38 different combinations because we needed everything. It's a little bit more simple. We get a Bills win over the Lions. That's obviously the most important. Then the next thing, the thing we've been looking at all season, it's a Browns win over KC. Only 4-point underdogs for Jameis Winston today.
Sneaky.
And then you got Eagles over the Steelers. Eagles a 7-point favorite over the Steelers. So obviously, I think you look at this, the biggest, the 2 ones you got to look at are the Bills and the Browns. Do you think the Browns can take care of business in at home against KC?
Absolutely. This Browns team is there's a reason that line's only down to 4, and it was even down to 3.5 at some points in this week. It's kind of settled in at 4, but this Browns team has played well, man, in the second half of the season, and their record doesn't show it. They are a much better team than this 3-10. You watch this team at the beginning of the year with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. It was lifeless, and it wasn't just because Deshaun was terrible. You could tell the team wasn't inspired. They weren't really playing hard for him at all. Since Jameis has come in, now they've had some iffy performances, specifically defensively, but they've been scrappy. They've fought in these games. They had the win over Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago at home, had the heartbreaker with Jameis throwing pick sixes all over the field on Monday Night Football, and then they lose last week in Pittsburgh. They weren't going to beat Pittsburgh twice, so it's not a surprise. They're going to play this game like their Super Bowl. Browns fans are going to be going absolutely nuts. It's like, from my weather report from Cleveland, Ohio, from my people down there, about 35, 40 degrees, rainy, windy. So it's going to be a gross game, defensive battle. The Chiefs have been in all these close games. It feels like we're due for one of these kind of big upsets. And the Browns, it's their Super Bowl today. So I really like this Browns team in this spot at home, one of their biggest games of the year left at home, to at least keep this close. And Kansas City, they've been close with everybody this year. So there's no reason to think that this 4-point spread, they're going to blow it out of the water today. So I'm eerily confident in the Browns to get it done today.
I like that. And I know people might be saying, well, why do we even need, the Eagles over the Steelers? We're ahead of them. Well, if we don't get the Chiefs faltering, we do want to be able to have that week 18 be a potential bye situation where we know what seed we're already in. And the Steelers losing obviously helps for that. So with that said, we've talked about the peripherals. We've talked about the overalls of this matchup. My first take, and I did kind of allude to it with Eric, I have been saying for a week and a half, and I did look ahead, and I'll take full accountability for that. I think the Bills offense is going to be able to do whatever they want against this Detroit Lions defense. Now, ultimately, if they, are they going to, break down in the red zone? Are they going to turn it over in a cruise spot? That I don't know, but I think we're going to be looking at a lot of yards today. I mean, I think back to a week and a half ago, Micah, seeing Caleb Williams. Yeah, in that first half, he did struggle. I think he had like 40 yards or something. But in the second half against Detroit, he had like 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. It just looked like he was absolutely lighting them up. I know Detroit has had some injuries, especially on the defensive side of the ball. It just makes me think that the Bills offense coming in after, if Josh Allen picks up where he left off. Now, again, that could be a dangerous thought because we saw the Rams go on Thursday Night Football and look like a completely different team. But if Josh Allen picks up where he left off, I think this is not an easy Bills win, but the Bills should be able to control this game.
To your point, the Detroit passing defense is 23rd in the league, so they are susceptible in that area. They have some guys coming back, especially on the defensive line this week, but they're not going to be fully healthy. The Bills have injuries on defense too, especially in the secondary, really banged up today. So I think you're exactly right because the Bills are going to have opportunities to have the ball on offense because Detroit's going to be able to push the ball down the field a little bit too and score. These are 2 highest scoring teams in the league. They're both the strengths of their teams. And I think that's going to be the strategy there for Buffalo is lean into that and get into this kind of shootout. The biggest thing for me is the Bills are number 1 in takeaway differential. Plus 17. They're first in the league. You can't live and die off takeaways. They do regress to the mean, and maybe that's happening towards the end of the year with the Bills, but it's been a strength of their defense today. And with the secondary so banged up, they're going to need to create some opportunities for turnovers. How they do that, whether it's bringing more pressure to Goff, whatever they do. Last week they desperately needed a Christian Benford interception or a Terrell Bernard forced fumble or something like that. They just didn't get it. They need one of those this week to win this game. They need to keep that turnover and just be on the positive side of the turnover differential with Detroit. If you give them, if you give Detroit an extra possession, it could kill you in this game. And Detroit might give you a possession. They might give you a, 4th and 1 at their own 35 that you stop and you can get good field position. They're not afraid to do that. Dan Campbell did that, last week against the Packers, and it turned out into a touchdown for Green Bay right after. So there are opportunities where situationally, if McDermott can match Campbell's aggressiveness and keep up with him in that way, that we might get some opportunities at some turnover possessions like that.
Yeah, I think we were maybe sleeping on the McVay offense a little bit last week. I don't think we're going to be sleeping on the Dan Campbell Lions team and their offense this week. So that's the biggest difference to me. For wild card factors, I do think our running game is going to be the ultimate wild card. A lot of people seem to think that this could be a straight Ray Davis, James Cook day. I'm just inclined to think you're going to, at least stick a little bit with Allen after how he finished last week. What do you think about that talk? And what are your wild cards for the matchup today in Detroit?
I am looking for more. I'm in line with what Eric Wood said there with that, establishing the run's important, but let's attack the second level and let's use the strength of Allen in this game. But I do think they need to stick to the run a little bit more than they did last week. I know they got down early and had to lead into the pass a little more often than they would have probably liked to. But I think you got to run against this team because they're going to try to run. The Lions very well could just try to run against the Bills and control the clock all day. And they have, Sonic and Knuckles, Montgomery and Gibbs there who have the opportunity to do so. So that is huge. The wild card factor for me is not even really anything to do with the game in general. It's just coming into this game. The Lions coming off 10 days rest. They played last Thursday. They played Thanksgiving, played a week in between, played the Packers on Thursday night, and they come into this game with the mini bye, which we've seen help teams in the past, especially Dan Campbell teams. He's done really well, much like Sean McDermott, off of buys and mini buys. So that's kind of my biggest wild card concern is that this is a rested Lions team coming into this game, and the Bills are coming off a trip out west, late game last week, big game, loss, whatever. So it is a different scenario for preparation wise, but I don't think that's not something I'm going to use as an excuse in the post game or anything like that. But I do think it's worth noting before we head into this game.
Gotcha. Yep. No, I agree 100%. And the mini buy is an interesting aspect. The Lions haven't lost in 3 months. They're coming off a mini buy, and they're only a narrow favorite over the Bills. So obviously speaks to the quality of both these teams. You just saw the weather board. It's obviously a little chilly in Detroit, but they'll be in the dome. The live check-in vibes are insane. Yeah, the vibe, it's going to be a crazy atmosphere in Detroit. So speaking of crazy, parlays, props, and predictions, you want to kick us off here with your game prop for today?
Yes, sir. So it's pretty simple here for me. Josh Allen is going to be the key to the Bills with offense if they win this game. It's going to be similar. The Josh Allen stat line is something I look for: over 200 passing yards, over like 50 rushing yards. Once he starts getting into that range, we're really talking about even like 40 rushing yards. So I think you get Josh at 40 yards and him to score a touchdown. And if you want to get spicy, you can put in a plus 250 passing yards here, or plus 200, whatever you feel comfortable with, over 200 yards to build these odds. But I think Allen running the ball is going to be extremely effective. As Eric Wood mentioned earlier, too, this passing defense for the Lions loves to run man-to-man. Josh Allen has been dominant against man-to-man in his career, and it's also going to create man-to-man down the field is going to create a lot of opportunities where those corners are turning and running with the receivers, and Allen's going to have space to move and run around. So I think he gets that 40 yards easy and scores a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, I not to sound crazy, this is something he could break off in 2 runs in the second quarter for sure. So that'd be interesting. And yeah, we haven't seen an Allen like run game in a minute. It feels like. Am I crazy there?
Well, last week he ended up with like 70 yards last week, but it was more just like desperate. It hasn't been.
Yeah,
like
no, those
Allen.
were scrambles.
Yeah.
Those were scrambles, and then he was dodging a different. Like I'm talking about actually like rolling out.
Yeah, I think today they used him.
Shit.
I think today we see him with like sweeps and like being involved in the run calls today for sure.
We got half of it last week, so I'm going to run it back. Khalil Shakir, anytime touchdown scorer. Bills money line. I think these two could be tied in. You get a big touchdown from Khalil, could put him over the top. So excited about it. 4.5, 4.6 to 1. Good odds there. So those are our parlays and props. Now I know we do this every week. I come in here like it's late fresh. So now it's really more. This is the question: have you changed your prediction? Has your prediction altered at all throughout the week with things coming in, things changing?
I said on Tuesday 31-28 Bills, and I'm sticking with it. I think it's a 31-28 game. It hits the over just by a little bit. I think it's back and forth, a couple turnovers each way, but I think the Bills win the turnover margin 2-1. Tyler Bass field goal, maybe not right at the buzzer, but towards the end in the fourth quarter to put them in the lead, and they take this one. I think this Bills team is, as good as the Lions have been all year. I think this is easily the best team the Lions have faced all year. I think the Bills match up really well with this Lions team, the way the Lions want to play defense matches well with Josh Allen. I think if the Bills can, as I mentioned earlier, the key to this game is the defensive line again. And if they can get pressure and knock Goff off his timing, he's an amazing quarterback when he's on time and on schedule. When he's off schedule, he is one of the middle of the pack quarterbacks. So if you can hit him and especially push that pocket into him in the middle and get pressure on him and contain that run game a little bit, I think the defense is able to take some opportunities away. So I'm going 31-28. I'm pretty confident in the Buffalo Bills today.
I like that. I am right in the same neighborhood. I just think it goes under. I'm just thinking that both these teams play a little bit better defense than we're expecting. Maybe the Bills.
And they might try to control the ball a little bit too, where there's not even enough possessions to score that many points.
Yeah, it could be one of those where they score basically every possession, but it's not that high scoring of a game. You get long, drawn out drives. Both teams are trying to slow down the other team for sure. So I could see some kind of weird effect there. Give me 29-24 Bills. I don't know if it'll even be that close though. It could be like, maybe 29-17 late in the Lions score or something. But I do got the Bills bounce back. I know, like, we're a little bit homer, but it just feels like the Bills are so good. If you were making a pick in this spot, like if you're Johnny, football fan, and you're walking up to the ticket kiosk, the Bills who just got annihilated visually on the road last week are only 2-point dogs against the best team in the NFC and arguably the best team in the NFL. I mean, alarm bells.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if you're looking at it just from the Vegas standpoint, they're begging you to pick the Lions today. Yeah. Lions at home, only 2 points. Like, yeah, Johnny B. Casual is ripping that -2 and not thinking about it. They're like, oh yeah, the Lions are undefeated at home, best team in the league. They're going to win by 2 points. So I love the way that the line played out if you're a Bills fan this week for sure.
We got Trout_Waters on Instagram. He says Josh gets 65 yards rushing and 2 rushing touchdowns. That would be profitable.
Hey, John said
panel.
over 1.5 rushing touchdowns as well. So everybody's loving the Allen rushing touchdowns.
Everyone is loving the Allen Rush touchdown. Maybe I need to get on that. But make sure you're getting on Picasso'sPizza.net to get those pre-games orders in. Is the best pizza in Western New York. Let's get the best performance out of our football team in Western New York. And Mike, any last words?
Go Bills.
Let's go Bills.